Our classroom had vanished, so had the ice and snow, but not Dr. Ziegler's rose. He stood before us, regarding us curiously as we danced around what appeared to be a huge underground cavern. I heard Desmond Shaky's voice ask, "Where are we?" "Under your stool," Dr. Ziegler replied with a wave of his hand. Many hundreds of meters beneath it, centuries ago, an underground river formed this cavern. Nobody knows it is here except me. "Why did you bring us here?" Libra asked in a trembling voice. "Because this is where Bleed and his people have taken shelter. I brought them here so that they would be safe. They are deep underground, they're well beyond the reach of man's radar and satellites. And because you have seen the sleepers and know they exist, you have to stay here with them." My brain started to make connections. Panic surged through me. It seemed as though everything I'd written in my essay had come true. My stomach knotted with terror. "Dr. Ziegler, the sleepers came from under the polar ice, didn't they?" I asked. Those days met mine. "Yes, it is just as you wrote in your essay. That is why I put those words into your mind. I wanted your essay to be a warning to the world." "A warning?" asked Libra. "Why?" "The sleepers are awake again because mankind's pollution has caused global warming," Dr. Ziegler said. "The polar ice caps has been their home since the last ice age. Now it is melting and the sleepers are again man's worst enemy. They have power so vast that they could wipe the human race off the face of the earth." Suspicion formed in my mind. I stared at the old rose warily. "How come you know so much about them?" "Because I was the first scientist to discover them. Years ago, when I was still alive, I went to the polar ice cap on an expedition. Even in those days, the first ice had begun to crack and I could see what the future held. I knew it was only a matter of time before the ice cap began to melt. I made many scientific predictions. I said that the polar bear would face extinction. I described how the ocean would rise and cover low-lying cities. But my theories were ignored. My fellow scientists said I was crazy. And then one day I discovered Bleed and his lost race. "How?" I asked. "I was alone on a remote ice floe, conducting research when the first sleepers awoke and attacked me. They took me prisoner and I spent months with them. In time, I learned to communicate with them in their own language. I learned their history and how they had survived the Ice Age." Bonnie wrinkled her brow. "What kind of lost race are they?" She wanted to know. "I mean, are they human, like we are?" "You have to go back millions of years in time for the answer," the scientist Rose said. "Before the last ice age, Bleed's people were a race of savage hunters. They were half human, yes, highly intelligent beings with their own language. That's why I think of them as people. But they are also half anthropoid, which means half ape. Originally, they had heads with horns and bodies like apes, covered with long hair. They competed with prehistoric men for food. They were stronger than humans and always defeated them in battle. But their greatest achievement was how they learned to evolve. As the climate changed and the earth grew colder, the sleepers adapted to the ice age." "How?" Libra wondered out loud. "Their bodies changed. They have no mouths and sound is emitted through their eyes. They do not have lungs and they don't breathe through their noses. Instead, they breathe through their skin, which is why they could endure hundreds of thousands of years under the polar ice cap." Desmond shuddered. "Why didn't they kill you, Dr. Ziegler?" Even though man was their mortal enemy, they came to trust me, and I in turn trusted them. When I saw their powers, I made them promise never to use them against man. As their leader, Blight gave me his word. We agreed that I should return to the outside world and bring this news to the attention of mankind, but I perished on the way home. I died of frostbite and exhaustion. Only some of my journals survive, but not my messages of peace from Blight. Today scientists know the sleepers exist and are searching for them, but they do not know that the sleepers seek peace. And now you have returned to help them. What's going to happen? I asked. It is too late for me to speak on their behalf. I am dead, but you, Dylan, you and your friends can help them. In fact, you must help them, otherwise the world will face disaster.